Hi friends, welcome back to On Location. Today we're here in Cranbrook. We're actually in St. Eugene at the St. Eugene Resort, and joining me now is Christy Jahn from Cranbrook Tourism. Christy, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And I have to tell you guys, Christy has been with me this entire week, from picking me up at the airport. I've received such warm welcome from you, checking in on me daily, checking to see if I needed any groceries, simple things, and going above and beyond to make sure that while I'm here as the one-woman show filming On Location, produced with the support of TELUS STORYHIVE, that all my needs are met. So I just wanted to acknowledge that on camera, that I truly appreciate your support, Christy.
You're very welcome. Yes.
So we were talking off camera. You've been with Cranbrook Tourism since it started, because up until you took over the role,
yep.
Your role is the manager here at Cranbrook Tourism, and you have two other folks working with you.
Yeah.
Before that, Cranbrook Tourism officially didn't quite exist.
Yeah, they hired me in 2018, and I was the very first staff at Cranbrook Tourism. So at that time, there was a board of directors. They had a business plan, and they just built a website. They gave me some keys to an empty office, and they said, go do it.
Let's see what you can do.
Yeah. Luckily, they had a business plan, too. So they had a business plan and an office. And since that day, which is about 7 years ago now, we've been building the destination management organization. And, that includes destination marketing. So marketing Cranbrook as a place to come visit, to spend time, to explore. Really, our mandate is to not just make it an inviting place for visitors, but to ensure that we're improving the quality of life for residents too. So I always say, the best parts of our work are that intersection between making it a wonderful place to visit, but a place that residents can feel, more pride. And they have that pride already, but we just help to amplify and build on that too. So
what would you say were some of the goals in that first year? And also, I can't believe 2018 was 7 years ago.
I know.
What?
I know. So goals in the first year were really just, a lot of it was operational. So, getting our website up, having an office that we ran, becoming known in the community as the, center of the hub of tourism, the go-to person, and just making a lot of community connections. So, different not-for-profit groups that put on events, levels of government like our municipality and regional district, tourism operators. So even here at St. Eugene where we are, so whether they're a hotel or they're a fishing guide, the purpose of the destination management organization is really to be at the core, because the tourism industry is a really neat industry, but it's made of a lot of small, medium-sized enterprises, right? So it can be kind of a fractured thing to represent. So as the DMO, you're kind of bringing it all together, because when visitors come to this place, they experience the place as the whole, and so that's really our job, is to give a holistic and well-rounded sort of picture and perspective of that. So there was just so much work to do in that first year too. A big part of marketing a destination is video and photography. So there was no video photography library, right? So just getting out to all these locations to make sure you're showing the best of golf, that you're showing the best of fly fishing, that you're showing the best of backcountry sledding. And this destination really is known for a lot of outdoor adventure. I'd say on top of that, we're known for a lot of culture and heritage experiences. So again, this building that we're in here at St. Eugene Mission, Fort Steele, the Cranbrook History Center. So there's these really neat heritage experiences. And then we have these world-class outdoor experiences. But when you're going to tell the world about it, whether on a website or on social media, you need all the photo and video to go support it. And that is actually time intensive, because you got to find the people who own the snowmobile. You got to find the expert who can get on the river with a fly rod. And then you got to get them to agree to be on camera and get the photographer, coordinate all those pieces to start telling those stories. So really over the last 7 years, that was
building those assets.
Totally. So that was probably like year one, was just making sure that we had all the foundational things that you need to even be able to go out and do some marketing. And so then on top of that, over the years, we've done a lot more as far as like building our capacity with like internal staffing, just building stronger connections in community, delivering more like educational and sort of like industry development type programs too. So it's evolved into like a lot more than that over the 7 years. So.
And I have to say, I love your guys' social media pages, especially your Instagram. I'm loving the content. And, you know, I do think that when you take advantage of those tools, it makes such a big difference in terms of attractiveness. I want to talk a little bit about how Cranbrook Tourism approaches sustainable travel and environmental stewardship, because we have all this beautiful land that we are on.
Right. Yeah. Today, so here we are on Ktunaxa Amukis, so also known as the Ktunaxa Homelands, home of the Ktunaxa people. I would say, I think it's an imperative today in tourism that we look at how we're making places better when we visit them. So regenerative tourism is kind of a buzzword that's being used even like within sustainability now. And it's like, how do, when we travel, do we leave the place better than we found it? I think that's through education, it's through appreciation, it's through some visitor management that we can do to just ensure that people, really understand and appreciate where they are, and treat it like, we would treat all of our own homes and spaces. And so I wouldn't say that we have any sort of like major initiatives with sustainability right now, but we're following a lot of best practices like in the tourism space that, we can.
Got it.
Yeah.
And can you tell us a bit about partnerships or collaborations with Indigenous communities in the region?
Yeah, absolutely. We actually worked on a project with our local nation, with the Ktunaxa, over the last 4 years. So we actually launched a video series that's called the Ktunaxa Homelands. You can find it on YouTube, and it actually tells the creation story of the Ktunaxa. And what's really neat about their creation story too is that it tells a lot about the landscape. So some of the important elements in the story are about the Rocky Mountains and how the Rocky Mountains were formed, how the waterways like the Kootenay and Columbia River were formed, and the hoodoos, which are a unique element of our landscape here too. And we've recently actually even launched a website, ktunaxahomelands.ca, where you can learn more about how, when you're in the Kootenay region, to explore some of these places. So Indigenous owned businesses, important interpretive sites, which, like, for example, the interpretive site center down here at St. Eugene, which will show up on the map.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a kind of a self-guided exploration. So if people are coming to the Kootenays and they're looking to learn more about the Ktunaxa, it gives them some ideas of some experiences they can have, whether they want to go to an Indigenous-owned golf course, an Indigenous hot spring, an Indigenous glamping experience, some campgrounds that are Indigenous-owned in our region. They're all profiled on that website. So that's a partnership that we're proud of, and it's one we continue to try to deepen. And so, yeah, we try to be partners there and tell the story as much as the nation would like the story to be told. So,
how would you say Cranbrook Tourism is supporting cultural education and truth-telling through tourism?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a really good question. Actually, that's really interesting too, because we are actually just undergoing a brand refresh right now for our Cranbrook Tourism brand. And I don't want to give too much away because it's still not unveiled. But there's an element about the new brand that has a lot to do with truth. And that will speak a bit to deeper stories and true stories. And that's about as much as I can tell you about
we'll just have to wait and see.
Reveal right now. But like, again, there's so, when we kind of look at our unique opportunities as a destination, one of them is in our historic, like, kind of heritage elements, right, of our story. And, the Ktunaxa story is an important one too, right? That, I have a board member who challenged me in my first year, with some of the storytelling we were doing. And she said, well, that story only goes back 150 years. our stories go back 10,000 years. You know what I mean? So it's like being aware of what the story is you're telling. Some of it a colonial history, which is an important part of history, but you look at like in the span of time, how short that period of history is, making sure that we are being more thoughtful and inclusive in the story that we tell, that it's appreciating that longer history piece. So so we're challenging ourselves. And again, I was challenged by one of my board members, and we continue to challenge ourselves as an organization to do that.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Now, Cranbrook has a really rich history. What would you say are some of the key historical sites or stories visitors should know?
Yeah.
Some places that you would recommend me to visit and film?
Yeah. So, well, I mean, one of the notable ones that I would suggest is the Fort Steele Heritage Town. So it's a provincially owned historic site. It's locally managed by local operators that have a contract with the province to operate it. Has a history, like I would say, many visitors to our area from a long time have been going there and spending time. They'll be familiar with like their heritage breeds of Clydesdale horses, wagon rides, live.
Which I got to see
live
during the parade.
Yeah, street performers. So there's a long history at Fort Steele. But what's really interesting about Fort Steele, it is very near on the Wild Horse River, another historic site of Fisherville. So Fisherville was during the gold rush in British Columbia, the largest community in the Kootenays, because all the people came rushing to this site for gold on the Wild Horse River. And it blows my mind because right now, if you go there today, it's just crumbling remains. Like it's a historic site. There's a small graveyard. You can see the remnants of the mining activity that happened along the river, but nobody lives there today. But what's fascinating is it had like 5,000 people living there at the end of in the end of the 1800s, right? So at that time, that was the biggest place around in the whole Kootenays, right?
Wow.
And now it's a ghost town, so to speak, or a ghost site. So it's very unique. And I think it's a little underrated. A lot of people don't know about it. You still can see people along the Wild Horse River gold panning still today because there's still gold in that river.
Really?
They don't find the big nuggets like they used to.
Okay.
But people still go out there and do some prospecting and maybe find flakes. I've never tried it myself, but I have seen people when I drive up the road sometimes pulled off with their pans and things and like doing their stuff out there. So definitely I would say Fort Steele Heritage Park and nearby Fisherville are really important sites. This site here at St. Eugene, so this former residential school that's now become a golf resort, casino, campground, spa, all-inclusive resort. This is a very important location for us.
And the important part is that it's fully Indigenous owned.
Fully 100% Indigenous owned, yeah. And they just celebrated their 25th anniversary too, operating as a resort. That's this year. So that's significant for them. And then another, I would say the Cranbrook History Center. So in Cranbrook, we house a historic railway collection of luxury rail cars. We also house an important paleontology exhibit of trilobites.
Okay.
Yeah. So these are, like I'd say, when people are coming here for like the heritage elements, these are your three key sites that you need to see in Cranbrook for sure.
Talk to me about the food scene here. It's growing. Can you highlight a few standout spots or experiences for food lovers?
Yeah, for sure. A lot of people who have any familiarity with Cranbrook will be familiar with the Hideout and Fisher Peak Brewing for good reason. I would say that they have been real pioneers. I'll call out to Heidi and Jordan at the Hideout, just in that they've been in the food space for a long time. Originally, Heidi Rummich had a schnitzel restaurant, but they kind of looked at like what trends were happening out there in the world and looked at like some brew pubs and things, and they decided they needed to add a brewery. So they were Cranbrook's first brewery, and they tell the story of how they really had to cultivate local palates a little bit to get away from some of those lighter beers and try those heartier IPAs and some of their stouts and things that they make. So the Hideout is probably number one on the list. We also have some really cool folks, Jesse and Fred, who are owners of the Fire Hall. Okay. And they have now opened a second business, which is Encore, which is a bowling alley brewery.
Okay.
So both Fire Hall.
Oh, that's so fun.
Oh, yeah. I'm surprised we haven't talked about that yet. So they're doing really neat things with their bowling alley brewery at Encore too. Like they're very thoughtful.
Is it close to downtown?
Yes. Yeah.
I feel like I need to go there.
Well, both locations are really interesting and we've actually identified this as another sort of Cranbrook theme in how our destination differentiates differentiate itself. There's an appreciation for older things and restoring older things. So even with the fire hall, they tried to keep a lot of character because it was a city-owned fire hall.
Okay.
I think the date stamped on the top is 1921.
Okay.
So, no, 1929, because I think it's going to have its 100th year anniversary coming up here in the next few years. But, you know, they restored this old fire hall so lovingly and kept a lot of the original character and even named the business the fire hall, right? So it's a real gathering place, good food, good drinks. And then what they did with the bowling alley.
Downtown area?
Oh, it's right in downtown, right across from Rotary Park.
Okay.
So you were right near it yesterday with the farmers market. And then with their other business that they opened at Encore, they took out half the bowling alley lanes. And even they did really cool stuff. The big long tables they made are actually the floors of the old bowling alley that have all been restored.
I think we need to
And when you order their
Yes.
flights of beer, it's a half bowling pin with your glasses in it.
That's adorable.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite spot yourself that you like to pause and perhaps after spend, you know, on a Friday evening, like whether a lake or a hike that you like to get to?
I'm a mountain biker, so I really enjoy mountain biking our local trails. We have a lot here between Cranbrook, and there's some phenomenal trails in Kimberley too, so just lots to see that way. Generally, I can find the trails to be quite quiet with lots of little viewpoints along the way. I also really enjoy paddleboarding, so not just on our local lakes.
We were talking about paddleboarding.
Yeah, we have lots of beautiful lakes, but then, you know, even a bit of river paddleboarding that I've been doing the last year. So I think the thing out here is it's just limitless. Like our population in the Kootenays we're like, I think 175,000 people spread over the whole Kootenays. So it's very spread out. There's a lot of places to have places all to yourself.
Yeah.
There's a lot of crown land that is here for all to enjoy. So
and with summer around the corner, almost here. I guess it's officially summer.
It is officially summer. It doesn't look like it out the windows today. But yeah, there's just so much. Like for me to even pick one spot, I just appreciate in Cranbrook how quick it is to things. Like I always tell people there's a lake like 15 minutes in any direction to various lakes, right? So I do that often after work. It's, you know, have a regular work day, have dinner at home, and I can still get my son out and go paddleboard for a little while before bedtime. So
that's
amazing.
So lovely.
Yeah.
What's one thing you've learned about Cranbrook or about yourself, like working in tourism here, that really moved or inspired you?
Oh boy. That's a great question.
Because I'm sure with your work, you're like learning all the time. Of course, you're busy promoting, but I'm sure you've had moments that really made you go like, oh my goodness, I'm so grateful I have this job where I get to experience this or get to have this experience.
I would say it probably is some things like out in the backcountry or on the tops of mountains. A few years ago, one of my board members, who's the same board member who challenged me on how far we're going back in our history to tell our stories, she had received 2 race entries for a gravel bike race. I didn't even know what that was, but she gave me these entries to enter to go be part of this race. And I was like, okay. So I bought a bike even. I was like, I don't even know what I'm doing. And we rode our bikes from Panorama Mountain Resort all the way to Fernie over 4 days on bikes through the mountains.
Wow.
It was incredible. It was really hard, but it was really beautiful. So I'd say a couple things. I was just really grateful that somehow that opportunity fell into my lap from her. But again, I find when I get into the wild spaces kind of outside of our community, like I'm just awed by the landscapes and where we live. And, you know, a lot of that is like free, if I can put it that way. It's not completely free because you have to have a vehicle to have access or a bike to have access. But I find it just incredible, and I find so much richness. I'm really appreciative. I love British Columbia, and I love that. Like, I literally think I live in the best place in the world.
Completely. I couldn't agree more. You know, I'm just coming from traveling around the world and so happy to come back to the mountains. And I think landing in BC, landing in Vancouver on a clear day, it really makes Chico best place on earth for sure.
Well, and even that contrast, like I love the flight to Vancouver from Cranbrook. Like you mentioned, it's like an hour. I love going to the city. I love all the city buzz in Vancouver. And I love, getting out of the airport, taking the SkyTrain, taking the sea bus. Like you can get around so fast. It's amazing. And then I love to come back to here where it's just the spaces are so wide. We're lucky to have that. Yeah.
Completely. Well, thank you so much, Kristy. Really appreciate you. And I'm so glad we got to talk today. And I'm so grateful I get to be here in Cranbrook and share these local stories with you. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching On Location, brought to you with the support of TELUS STORYHIVE. Currently, we're here filming in Cranbrook. I'm your host, Zara Durrani, and I'll catch you soon.